Imagine a jungle of fungi, towering shelves stacked high with a rainbow of shrooms. Your morning commute, a fungi-filled journey down the rows, with miles of mushrooms lining your path to that perfect omelette or hearty bowl of porridge. Mushroom overload. It's a chef's life for you. 3 meals a day, every day, featuring the star of the show, our mighty fungal friends. And don't even get me started on leftovers. But let's be real, in this culinary kingdom, there aren't many. You're the head chef and commander-in-chief of a squad of hungry warriors, so no time for complaining. It's back to work and serving up those delicious dishes. Think about it. If your crew's bellies aren't filled, they'll be marching on your farm in no time. But here's the twist. You've got a secret weapon, mushrooms, that can thrive in the dark. In the early days of Eternal Twilight, people were banking on canned goods from untouched markets, hoping things would return to normal soon, and life could go back to being as sweet as a warm office break room. Fast forward to now. That comfy office chair is gathering dust as your crew's basic needs have become a constant struggle. Gone are the Fridays spent savoring medium rare steaks and cold beers. First, the ammo dried up, then the diesel fuel for the generator hit zero, throwing your whole operation into chaos. In just a few short days, the tranquil Friday evenings were replaced by an ominous creep of darkness and a terrifying new reality. Former office dwellers now roam as famished cannibals, their once familiar faces now etched with desperation. Our daily grind now revolves around nurturing kilometers of mushroom racks, memories of comfy chairs, and 9-to-5 jobs fading into the past. But amidst this harsh new world, our younger brother's understanding of the term steak took on a startling new meaning when we caught a mole in one of our traps. Talk about a lesson in survival. I'm here to tell you how it all went down. Welcome to Chicxulub, a long-dormant impact crater that holds the key to this post-apocalyptic world. Check out these mind-blowing stats. Chicxulub stretches an incredible 180 kilometers in diameter and originally plunged over 20 kilometers deep into Earth's crust. This colossal impact crater was formed nearly 67 million years ago, when a behemoth asteroid, measuring well over 10 kilometers across, came crashing down at unimaginable speed on what we now know as the Yucatan Peninsula. Interestingly, this cataclysmic event coincided with the dawn of a new era, the end of the dinosaurs' reign. But here's the fascinating part. It wasn't that direct hit that led to the dinosaurs' demise. Their story is far more intertwined with what happened next. But what really sealed the dinosaurs' fate wasn't just the initial tidal wave, a staggering 100 meters high, that some unfortunate ones got swept away by. No, the real showstopper was the catastrophic chain reaction that played out across the globe. The impact sent shockwaves through Earth's crust, triggering volcanic eruptions on an unprecedented scale, and massive chunks of molten rock were catapulted into the stratosphere, igniting colossal forest fires within a 1,000-kilometer radius around the epicenter. As if that wasn't enough, an astronomical 15 trillion tons. That's roughly the weight of 4 million Great Pyramids of Giza, of ash, dust, and soot were blasted into the atmosphere, creating a dense layer that absorbed sunlight and brought our planet to a grinding halt. A prolonged impact winter had begun, shrouding everything in a thick veil of darkness and cold, ultimately spelling doom for these magnificent creatures. As the world plunged into an eternal twilight, with sunlight blocked by that massive ash blanket, photosynthesis came to a near halt, the very lifeblood of our planet's ecosystem. This meant plants struggled to survive, leaving behind only a fossil record for us to study today. Meanwhile, temperatures plummeted on land by a jaw-dropping 28 degrees Celsius, making it one of the most extreme climate shifts in Earth's history. The sun's warmth that usually drove evaporation and rainfall, gone. For years on end, drought gripped the globe, as moisture simply didn't exist anymore. The soil, once teeming with life, began to crack and dry out, a desolate landscape devoid of any sign of lush greenery or vibrant colors. The survival game was on. With their habitats shrunk to almost nothing, many plant families teetered on the edge, with only those super resilient ones making it through the harsh volcanic winter. The devastating drop in plant life, think less greenery and phytoplankton, sent shockwaves throughout entire food chains. Herbivores, struggling to find enough to munch on, began disappearing at an alarming rate. Then came the predators, whose meal tickets had vanished into thin air. But the most epic extinction event of all time, that would be the Permian Triassic extinction event, about 250 million years ago, a catastrophe that wiped out a staggering 96% of marine species and 73% of land-dwelling animals. Talk about a mass exodus from planet Earth. Mind blown. We thought insects were the ultimate survivors, right? But even they weren't immune to this mass extinction event. A whopping 83% of all insect species met their demise. The Permian-Triassic extinction event is one of the darkest chapters in Earth's history, and it gets even more mysterious with the discovery of an ancient impact crater under Antarctica's ice sheet. Scientists think an asteroid might have triggered the catastrophe. But here's the good news, we're not due for another massive asteroid smackdown anytime soon. With a 100 million year wait time, you can bet your houseplants will be safe. And who knows, by then humans might just have some super cool backup plans in place to save the planet. Hold up, let's not count our asteroid blessings just yet. There's another force of nature that can unleash total chaos: volcanoes. Check out this beast, Laki in Iceland, which erupted for a whopping 8 months back in 1783. The damage was massive: 15 cubic kilometers of lava, toxic air pollution, and a blanket of ash and soot across Eurasia. The aftermath: a livestock massacre, followed by widespread starvation and the loss of nearly a quarter of Iceland's population. This natural disaster is a stark reminder that sometimes our planet's power can be more than a rock from space. It can come straight from beneath our feet. You might think we're talking about a prehistoric disaster scenario, but hold on to your seat. Yellowstone's got an explosive secret. Beneath this stunning national park lies a colossal fault filled with scorching hot magma. If it were to erupt, the results would be mind-blowing. A blast of molten rock that incinerate everything within a 100-kilometer radius and dump up to 5 meters of volcanic ash on Wyoming and neighboring states. Experts say it's not if, but when. So what does this mean for our modern world? But wait, it gets worse. Dr. Brian Wilcox from NASA warns us that the devastating effects wouldn't stop there. The massive amounts of dust and gases released into our atmosphere could block out sunlight, plunging the Earth into a prolonged volcanic winter that would last for decades, potentially wiping out an astonishing 99% of all life. And, believe it or not, we're not just talking about one ticking time bomb. There are 20 supervolcanoes worldwide, each with the potential to unleash catastrophic destruction. NASA even claims these supervolcanic eruptions could be deadlier than a massive asteroid impact, putting humanity's very survival on the line. Let's hold on to hope that these doomsday scenarios stay in the realm of fiction. But here's the thing, we're not just vulnerable to natural disasters, our actions can also lead us down a catastrophic path. Have you heard about nuclear winter? This isn't some sci-fi concept, but a real-life possibility where a massive nuclear war could cause an extended global cooling. The devastating impact would come from smoke and soot released into the stratosphere from fires ignited by hundreds of exploding nuclear warheads, potentially dropping temperatures to near Arctic levels worldwide. Imagine a world where tensions between major powers like Russia and the US escalate into an all-out nuclear war, a scenario that could plunge our average global temperature below even the chilliest ice ages. The outcome: devastating famine as agriculture comes to a grinding halt, leaving human survival on the line for those who manage to make it through the initial blast. But here's the harsh reality: no prep or strategy can fully shield us from this disaster. Even if you're well stocked with non-perishable food and ammo, these supplies would quickly dwindle as the planet succumbs to the long-lasting cold. Without sunlight warming our surface, our Earth becomes a barren wasteland, one where collecting dew from cacti or starting fires by hand won't be enough to sustain us. In fact, experts warn that, in such a scenario, there might not even be enough food for 1,000 people. While developed countries might have enough stored food to keep people fed for several months during an initial crisis, the real danger lies in the prolonged aftermath. If winter's chill or perpetual night drags on for years, decades even, most of us wouldn't stand a chance. Our supplies would eventually run out. The ones who'd make it through this ordeal are likely to be small, tight-knit groups of skilled individuals who've managed to preserve some semblance of civilization. These communities might have access to reliable energy sources like hydroelectric or wind power plants, allowing them to keep the lights on and food production going for a little while longer. However, let's not forget, Survival in this harsh new world would be strictly reserved for those in the select group with the right know-how and resources. In this harsh new world, survival would depend on a simple yet brutal principle: the fewer people, the more energy they can muster. At first, small groups of fighters might carve out a living for themselves, relying on clever tactics and resourcefulness to stay alive. They'd forage for mushrooms, harvest algae, catch worms, and set traps for any remaining wildlife that hadn't vanished. But make no mistake, this wouldn't be a sustainable existence. It's only a matter of time before these makeshift communities start to dwindle. Those who aren't part of these organized groups would be left to face a dire fate: starvation, violent death at the hands of cannibals or hunters, or a slow decline into oblivion. The world we once knew, with its rules and social norms, would give way to an unforgiving struggle for survival where only the strongest or luckiest might just make it through. Let's dive into how humans became the top dog doll, or should I say, top primate. Scientists have been trying to figure out what made Homo sapiens the dominant species through a process called anthropogenesis. They've looked at ancient people who lived off super scarce food sources and somehow survived, or tribes near animal migration routes that only ate horse meat and managed to pass on their genes. Then there were those living in extreme environments like scorching equatorial deserts or freezing Arctic tundras. Talk about adaptable. Somebody also decided to take a wild risk and cross the Bering Strait into North America, while another someone braved the open ocean on a rickety boat to sail south. These bold moves not only allowed them to explore new lands, but also gave rise to entirely new human populations. So what does this tell us? It's clear that humans have an incredible ability to adapt and thrive in even the toughest conditions, which ultimately helped us become the dominant species on the planet. Here's how you stack up against the big guys, literally. Despite lacking claws and fangs, humans outsmarted the massive cave lion. And when it came to taking down the last mammoth around 10,000 years ago, size wasn't on our side. We were just a tiny fraction of its mass, but still managed to seal the deal. Now, imagine the worst-case scenario where only a super tiny percentage of humans make it through and get to bask in some sunshine. Guess what? That's still more than enough for us to bounce back as a civilization. You see, humans are basically the ultimate survivors. We're intelligent